Today's video is going to talk about end behavior for polynomial functions. The end behavior of a graph is what's happening as x either goes towards positive infinity or negative infinity. The entire purpose of this is to figure out which direction your y values are going to be moving in as you get to the ends of your function. If we have an even degree polynomial with a positive leading coefficient, and a good example of this would be y equals x squared, f of x is going to go towards infinity as x goes towards negative infinity. So what this means is that our y's are going to get closer to positive infinity as our x's get closer to the negative infinities. On the other side, f of x is going to go to positive infinity as x goes to positive infinity. So this means that our y values are going to go up towards positive infinity as our x's increase towards positive infinity. Whenever we deal with an even degree negative leading coefficient, something like y equals negative x squared, we see the exact opposite in terms of f of x. In this case, we see that both arrows are pointing down. So f of x is going towards negative infinity as x goes towards negative infinity. And on the positive side of my graph, f of x is going towards negative infinity as x goes towards negative infinity. And that's because both of these arrows are pointing down. Our y values are decreasing, so it means that they're going to be going towards negative infinity. Use your arrows to help you understand which direction these are moving in. Anytime you write end behavior, you will always do it for as x goes to negative infinity and as x goes to positive infinity. These two statements never change. They're just describing what's happening with the x's. The part that changes depending on the arrows is what is happening with f of x. The other type of functions that we can deal with is odd degree functions. So if we have an odd degree function with a positive leading coefficient, so what that means is the exponent is going to be an odd number, like y equals x to the third. If something has a positive leading coefficient, the first arrow will be pointing down and the second arrow will be pointing up. So f of x goes towards negative infinity as x goes towards negative infinity. My arrow is pointing down, so I know that my y values are going to be decreasing down to negative infinity, and those x's, they just keep getting more and more negative on that side of the graph. As we come to this side of the graph, it has an up arrow. This means that my x's are increasing to positive infinity, and since it's pointing up, f of x is also going up towards positive infinity. If it's an odd degree with a negative leading coefficient, like y equals negative x to the third power, the first arrow will be pointing up, and the last arrow will be pointing down. If the arrow is pointing up, then f of x is going towards positive infinity, and since this is on the right side of on the left side of our graph, x's are going towards negative infinity. As I get to the second part, f of x goes to negative infinity because my arrow is pointing down, but this is on the right side of our graph, so our x's are going towards positive infinity. If you struggle with knowing which side is negative infinity and positive infinity for x, just think about drawing in an x and y axis and seeing which side it would fall on. One piece of information that's going to be really important for us moving forward is to know that positive leading coefficients will always rise to the right. So if you're positive, even though we may have some ups and downs in life, you will always end up rising above everything. So if it is a positive leading coefficient, it will go up. It will rise to the right. negative leading coefficients will always fall to the right. So if we're negative, normally our life sort of kind of takes a turn for the worse. So even if we have some high points, our attitude being negative is going to lead us down a path where we are falling. We will be using some of this information to help us sketch cubic functions, so please let me know if you guys have any questions about end behavior or how to sketch your graphs.